All right, folks, let's talk about how do you buy the perfect home. Folks, let me just tell you a quick little secret. The perfect home is the home you actually perfect. And the reason why is when we're looking at fixer-uppers, investment properties, we're looking at things that we want to make our own. Unless you're doing a custom build, you're never really going to find the exact property that's going to match your needs. But you can make it that way. Folks, I want to talk about some just things that I want you to think about in buying an existing home, specifically if it's a fixer-upper. The really top 4 things that I've learned in selling hundreds and hundreds of properties and purchasing and doing the work even myself on my own properties and projects that I've either resold for a profit or that I've kept as rental properties for myself. And here's the top things that I have learned. Number 1 is you need to pick the right location. Sometimes the best properties that we end up finding at a steep discount, I will tell you, are properties you really just don't want to live in, specifically if it's with your family, okay? I went to a property this week. We looked at a property. It was significantly underpriced. And I said, look, let's just look at the property just to evaluate it. Folks, I remember walking away from that and they said, what do you think about that property? And I said, yeah, it looks great if you want to get knifed in the back. Because legitimately, it was a location and area that I would never have my family in, okay? So just remember, pick a location that makes sense, right? You're gonna live there, enjoy it. Make sure it's something that hits that check mark. It doesn't have to be in the luxury type A, A neighborhood. But just make sure it's not in the C- where you're in, war zones, crime, issues where you're going to truly have a problem reselling the property. So just be strategic with that and just be smart. You're going to have a really good feeling about this neighborhood feels good. Quick tip, if you're ever wondering about the neighborhood and it's questionable, knock on the neighbor on the right, knock on the neighbor on the left, and just ask them questions about the area. They're going to be 100% honest, and also you'll know if you have a good neighbor, okay? So next item that I kind of wrote down on my list is you really need to budget for surprises. One of the things that I've always done is everything that I include in my budget, I've added 10 to 20% on top of that. When it's an older home, I'm just making sure that I'm really padding it. Because once you start opening things up, you start running into more issues. So just make sure that when you're budgeting the items and you're getting contractors in to evaluate those, you really do have a fixed budget, but you're adding on top of it for some unknowns. So be careful of that because that's where a lot of people, when they purchase a property at a market value, they end up overspending and then they're underwater when they want to sell it a year or 2 or 3 years later. So make sure you do have a budget in line and pad the budget. Next item that I wrote down, make sure you get a home inspection and make sure on the older homes, folks, you're doing additional inspections. That would include sewer scopes, meth tests. You're going to maybe test the electrical and the plumbing, But again, first and foremost, no matter what, get an inspection. We want a thorough analysis and evaluation, crawling through the attic, crawling through the basement, walking through the outside, checking the doors, checking the windows, checking the roof lines for information details that we can take that information to download to understand what other professionals, what other contractors do we need to get in line to evaluate it. This inspection creates the opportunity for other items, okay? I don't want you to think this is the blanket that's going to cover everything. This is the beginning. And after you have the beginning, look at the other things that may come along the way, okay? And finally, last thing that I just wanted to mention, I want you to prioritize the things that you're going to fix up. 3 areas that I want you to consider. Must-haves. What are the things this property must need that I have to have, not only for myself and my family and me living here, but also for resale, right? If this is a 1-bedroom, 1-bath, and it really needs to be a 2-bedroom, 1-bath in that area, this is a must. You gotta do it, okay? You're gonna make sure you evaluate that. The second item is the want items, the things that I'd really like to have, okay? So those are things you're gonna budget up. Like, it would be kind of nice to have this, would make life just a little bit easier. And the third, what are the luxury items? What are the sizzle features? What's the thing that's really going to make this thing over the top? And I'll always tell you in any project, I always add a sizzle feature. I'll always add something, but that's because it makes it unique. It makes it stand out. And frankly, people appreciate you spending the money. They end up seeing the value in it. It can be as simple as in a neighborhood that's maybe a lower price neighborhood, you're adding a backsplash and stainless steel appliances where everybody else just kind of has nothing and white appliances. It could be where you're in a higher price property and you're just using different materials and you're just going and doing, like, if you're doing a background or you're doing accent walls or you're doing better lighting, or just even in the entry, you're just doing a grand chandelier and you're doing wrought iron railings just for that wow pop factor. So just know, anytime you invest in the condition and showability of the property, buyers will pay more money for a move-in ready property and they appreciate it. So just take those things into account. If you're buying a fixer-upper, just remember there's very great opportunities out there, but we have to analyze it. We have to make sure we're getting it in a good location, we're budgeting, we're making sure we're evaluating what that property is and the things that we need to do to it. And then we're making sure that we do those things, execute on them. So it's a great home that we can live in, the home that we've perfected, and the home that we can essentially use as either a springboard to the next one or one we can love forever. Folks, we're here to help you out. If you need anything, want an evaluation of your current home, or if you're looking and saying, hey, I just want to get into something, let us know what we can help you with. If you want kind of a free home evaluation or introduction into the market of some things, just reach out. We'll make sure we get you the properties that are available and how we would evaluate it, maybe some recommendations that we can give to you. We're here to help. Looking forward to talking to you soon. Take care.